Good morning, everyone. Today is 9th of June 2026, and we'll start with the analysis of today's The Hindu. So, again, not not a very good news for Trinamool Congress after facing a major setback in the state legislative assembly. Finally, the Trinamool Congress is all set to have another setback in Lok Sabha, whereas you know 20 member of parliaments out of 29 MPs, 20 member of parliaments have decided that they will join Bharatiya Janata Party in Lok Sabha. So I mean within a month, first in the state legislative assembly, now in the uh, Lok Sabha also, Trinamool Congress has received this major setback where the entire party is collapsing day by day. Now the current rebellion is taking place. There are 29 MPs of the Trinamool Congress in the Lok Sabha, and according to those present at the meeting, 20 of them have come out against in rebellion against party chairperson Mamata Banerjee and General Secretary Abhishek Banerjee. The 20 rebel MPs plan to form a separate bloc and support the Bharatiya Janata Party-led National Democratic Alliance government at the center. So within I guess 45 days, first 7 MPs of Aam Aadmi Party in Rajya Sabha joined Bharatiya Janata Party. Now they will have 20 more MPs of Trinamool Congress from Lok Sabha. Right now, moving on, these rebel member of parliament have also met the Union Minister Bhupendra Yadav. So it is quite obvious now that this entire thing will take place. India bloc cannot stop it. Neither Mamata Banerjee nor Abhishek Banerjee. This has now went out of everyone's hand. So again, this might be relevant, and there might be two more contexts जहाँ पे इसको relevant हम मान सकते हैं. Second one is 52nd Constitutional Amendment Act 1985, which effectively inserted 10th schedule in the Indian Constitution, which is anti-defection law. But we know this, students, this particular separation of 20 MPs out of 29 will not amount to defection. And what is the reason why it will not amount to defection? The reason is very simple, because 20 out of 29 is basically more than 2/3. So as per the 52nd Constitutional Amendment Act, as per the 10th schedule 1985 or 10th schedule, which is related to anti-defection law, is absolutely clear on this point, that if more than 2/3 MPs of any political party are separating from its original party and they're joining some other political party, then it will be considered as merger, not defection. So this defection is bound to happen, and it is happening. Now another important news coming all the way from Andhra Pradesh, where 8 workers have died in an explosion took place at a facility of Rashtriya Ispat Nigam Limited in Vishakhapatnam. So I mean, in last 1 week you are seeing a lot of unfortunate incident taking place all around the country. This is one more. This is one of them, where a fire took place, or an explosion took place at a facility of Rashtriya Ispat Nigam Limited, and due to that 8 individuals or 8 workers have lost their lives. Now India bloc decides to take its SIR complaints to CGI. So yesterday there was a meeting of the entire Indie bloc or Indie Alliance, and after that particular meeting it was decided that they will take the matter of special intensive revision to the Supreme Court of India. They will write a letter to the Chief Justice of our country, because still Indie bloc or India Alliance believes that the entire exercise of SIR, which was conducted by the Election Commission of India, was not constitutional. Right now, moving, and it is a kind of basically vote loot, and this is a kind of tool adopted by Bharatiya Janata Party for vote theft. Right, so it is the current narrative of India alliance, with which they will write a letter to the Chief Justice of India regarding the constitutional validity of SIR. Then Iran trade strikes warn each other against escalation. So after Donald Trump announced, I mean, he sort of made an announcement that both these countries, Israel and Iran, have agreed for a ceasefire with immediate effect. But again, at the same point of time, Iran has made it one thing absolutely clear, that if there would be any kind of missile strike or military strike from Israel, then Iran will answer, or Iran will also provide an appropriate response to that particular attack. Now, ईरान के लिए वही एक यहाँ पर important issue आ जा रहा है, that Iran is demanding a complete ceasefire in Lebanon as well, and Israel has certain problems with that. They don't want ceasefire in southern Lebanon because they believe that that is a stronghold of Hezbollah. Hezbollah operates from the southern Lebanon. So for the security of the people of Israel, they need it immediately. Israel का ये claim बहुत लंबे time से रहा है that we need southern Lebanon for the security of the people of Israel. Now moving on to the next point. So students, this particular point is also important. Let's talk about gallantry awards. Anyone any idea about gallantry awards? What is the idea of gallantry awards? Right? Give me a minute. So when we talk about students, when we talk about gallantry awards in our country, there are two categories of gallantry awards which are given. So there are two different categories, and these two categories are gallantry. Gallantry का मतलब होता है वीरता. So there are basically two types of gallantry awards. Right. So there are two types of gallantry awards. First, given during wartime, known as on the face of the, and the other one is gallantry awards given during the peacetime. Now, students, there are three different categories of awards which are given under both these subheads, wartime and peacetime. So, under wartime, there are three categories, and I'll write the hierarchy. This hierarchy is important. Paramveer Chakra, PVC, Paramveer Chakra, Mahavir Chakra, and Veer Chakra. First one is Paramveer Chakra, Mahavir Chakra, and then Paramveer Chakra, Mahavir Chakra, PMB, then Veer Chakra, right? This is the hierarchy. So highest gallantry award presented during the war time is basically Paramveer Chakra. Now students, moving for the second category of these awards, peacetime gallantry other than the face of the enemy. So there are also three different categories. Anyone who'd like to answer the question? Any idea about the gallantry awards given during the peacetime? What are the three different categories? So first one is Ashok Chakra. Second one is Kirti Chakra. And the third one is Shaurya Chakra. 1, 2, and 3. This is the hierarchy which you have to remember during the on the face of the enemy, basically wartime, and peacetime Ashok Chakra, Kirti Chakra, and Shaurya Chakra. Now moving on to the next point. Moving on to the next point related to this particular issue. And if they ask you which is the highest category of peacetime award in our country, so then it would be considered as Paramveer Chakra only. Right. Now moving on to the next point. Moving on to the next point. So, and obviously these awards are presented by the President of India, and these gallantry awards are announced twice a year. First, on the eve of these gallantry awards are announced twice a year on the eve of Republic Day, and also on the eve of Independence Day. Right, so this is all about the static aspect of these gallantry awards, which you should remember. Now let's move to the current aspect as well. Let's move to the current aspect as well. Yeah, you guys are absolutely correct for वीरता पुरस्कार basically हम बोलते हैं इसको. Now moving on to the next point. So the awards. President Draupadi Murmu on Monday conferred 7 Kirti Chakras, including 2 posthumously, on personnel of the armed forces for displaying raw courage, unparalleled bravery, and total disregard for personal safety in the line of duty. So, where comes the Kirti Chakra in the hierarchy level? Where comes the Kirti Chakra? So, Kirti Chakra is second highest gallantry award given during the peace time. कितने लोगों को total मिला है? So, it has been presented to 7 individuals, 2 posthumously. Right. So this might be relevant. This might be relevant, and this information is extremely important. Now moving on to the next point. India expand its nuclear arsenal in 2025, says CPRI. Now, students, what is CPRI? SIPR, Stockholm International Peace Research Institute. What is CPRI, anyone? And what is the main objective of CPRI? And recently they have also released a report regarding nuclear ammunitions, and in that report they have said basically that India has increased its nuclear arsenal. Currently we have 190 nuclear warheads. Right. Now this particular thing was said by Stockholm International Peace Research Institute in their annual yearbook, which they have released on Monday. Now let's talk about this CPRI. Anyone any idea about CPRI? What is the main objective of CPRI, or CPRI क्या करती है, कहाँ पर based organization, and anything like that? I'm waiting for your response now. I'm yet to get an answer from you guys. कब establish हुआ था, कहाँ पर based है, ये सारी चीजें. Okay, let's fine. I guess I have to start with this. So you can understand one thing from this particular given piece of information, that Stockholm International Peace Research Institute is based in Stockholm. It was established in 1966. And in the month of March, they also released a report related to the export and import of the nuclear, export and import of the arms and ammunitions. That and India was one of the largest importer of these arms and ammunitions in the world, right? We are one of the largest importer of the arms and ammunitions in the world. Now, so these are the 2 points related to CPRI, which you might want to take into consideration, and these are the only 2 points when we talk about the current issue. Now, which country has the largest nuclear arsenal in the world? Which country has the largest nuclear arsenal in the world? So, as per the report of the Stockholm International Peace Research Institute, at number 1 we have रशिया, देन यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स ऑफ अमेरिका. हमारे पास में 190 हैं और पाकिस्तान के पास में 172 न्यूक्लियर वॉरहेड्स हैं. एंड ऑल अराउंड द वर्ल्ड, पूरे वर्ल्ड में कितने न्यूक्लियर वॉरहेड हैं? सो पूरे वर्ल्ड में देयर आर 12,187 न्यूक्लियर there are 12,187 nuclear warheads, right? So, and also the government, the different governments or these countries which have nuclear weapons. So there are 9 countries in the world which have nuclear weapon. All these countries are basically trying to increase the number of the nuclear warheads, because given the current geopolitical situation, there is a lot of instability. So every nuclear powered country wants to have utmost clarity on this. And also recently North Korea opened a new nuclear enrichment facility, right? So it actually tells you that countries have not undermined the importance of the nuclear weapon. That if actually nuclear weapon is like a brahmastra, if you have a nuclear weapon with yourself, it provides you ultimate kind of protection from your enemies. And to achieve that kind of surety, North Korea ने बहुत पहले nuclear weapon develop कर लिया था, and that's why Iran also wanted one, because they have a lot of threats from all these Middle Eastern countries and United States of America. And that's the other reason why United States of America wanted to stop Iran from having a nuclear weapon. And after these 20 MPs have switched political parties, it is quite and it will help actually Bharatiya Janata Party. If we talk about 131st Constitutional Amendment Act, which they brought recently, eventually the number of votes will increase. अभी 20 अगर अलायंस से कम हुए और 20 भारतीय जनता पार्टी में बढ़े, सो इसका नेट इफेक्ट कितना होगा? ऑलमोस्ट 40 का होगा, राइट? सो भारतीय जनता पार्टी विल एक्चुअली गेट बेनिफिट ऑफ द सेम. नाउ द प्राइम मिनिस्टर ऑफ आवर कंट्री, मिस्टर नरेंद्र मोदी, हैज बिकेम द लॉन्गेस्ट सर्विंग प्राइम मिनिस्टर, surpassing Jawaharlal Nehru. So longest serving PM नरेंद्र मोदी. अभी इन्होंने किसका रिकॉर्ड तोड़ा है? The first Prime Minister of our country, Mr. Jawahar Lal Nehru, who was in office for 4,399 days. Right. Now moving on to the next point. Now you will see a lot of article in the newspaper regarding this particular news item, that basically they will try to present a report card of Narendra Modi, that how he has performed in his 12 years long tenure, because he assumed office as the prime minister of this country in 2014. Then again he was re-elected in 2019, and finally he was re-elected again in 2024. Now again a major setback, and to protect the interest of the oil manufacturing companies, the government of India has decided that it will reduce the number of subsidized cylinder from 9 to 4 to the beneficiaries of प्रधानमंत्री उज्ज्वला योजना. जो फ्री में सिलेंडर अभी तक, मतलब जो सब्सिडाइज सिलेंडर देती थी गवर्नमेंट अंडर द प्रधानमंत्री उज्ज्वला योजना, उनका नंबर अभी तक 9 था. नाउ द गवर्नमेंट हैज डिसाइडेड टू रिड्यूस दिस नंबर फ्रॉम 9 to 4. Petroleum Ministry says around 10.55 crore LPG connection given under this scheme. So eventually it will benefit a lot to the oil manufacturing companies. But again, it is the fourth major setback after we discussed a news item yesterday where we witnessed that the prices of the domestic LPG has been increased by 29 rupees. So it is a stage wise thing which the government is doing to protect the interest of the oil manufacturing companies. High Court upholds POXO conviction based on the victim's testimony. So just to give you a brief idea about a very important criminal principle which is involved there. So I mean, there is a debate. There is always a debate that whether a person can be convicted on the sole testimony of the victim. If there is no other victim uh, apart from there is no other witness apart from the victim, then will the sole testimony of the victim is sound enough to convict a person? Now the Allahabad High Court has upheld the same thing, that when it comes to very heinous offenses, the sole testimony of victim can be a ground. The sole testimony of the victim can be the ground for the conviction of an accused. And this particular conviction was held by the Allahabad High Court in a case related to POXO. Now moving on to the next point. A troubling judgment and endorsement of the special intensive revision. So we know this that recently on 27th of May 2026, the Honorable Supreme Court of India announced a very important judgment in the case related to the legitimacy or the constitutional validity of SIR, which was eventually conducted by the Election Commission of India in Bihar. It was conducted last year. It was the exercise commenced on 25th of June, right? And it went on till September. So after this particular exercise was conducted in Bihar, there were multiple petitions in the Supreme Court of India related to the constitutional validity of the SIR, and also at the same time whether the Election Commission of India is empowered to question someone's citizenship for the purpose of inclusion or exclusion of that fellow's name from the in the electoral roll. So after considering all these questions which were raised before the Supreme Court of India, finally the Supreme Court of India delivered its important verdict on 27th of May 2026, upholding the constitutional validity of SIR. And also the Supreme Court of India affirmed the fact that for the very limited purpose, and what is that limited purpose? For inclusion or exclusion of someone's name in the electoral roll, the Election Commission of India can question someone's citizenship, because only Indian citizens are allowed to register themselves in the electoral roll, right? So considering all these points, we can understand one thing, that Election Commission of India is empowered. Now this particular article is authored by Mr. PDT Acharya. He is a former Secretary General of the Lok Sabha, and he has given a very comprehensive factual perspective that whether the Election Commission of India is empowered to conduct the SIR or not. By looking at Article 324, 325, 326 and Section 16, 19 and 21 of the Representation of Peoples Act 1950, you can clearly tell or you can clearly reach to a conclusion that in India only Election Commission of India is empowered to conduct the SIR. So let's start with this particular discussion. So the first two paragraphs of this particular article are basically telling you a brief background about the entire news items that we'll be discussing in the upcoming part. So I have already told you the background of this particular news item, that it is related to the SIR. Please remember this, this particular judgment is only related to the special intensive revision conducted in Bihar, because in second phase it was conducted across 12 9 states and 3 UTs covering more than 51 crore voters. बट वो जो फेज 2 में SIR है उससे रिलेटेड है जजमेंट नहीं, ये स्पेसिफिकली सिर्फ और सिर्फ बिहार से रिलेटेड है. तो अभी हम फटाफट इस पे डिस्कशन स्टार्ट कर देते हैं. व्हेन द SIR was began in Bihar just a few months before the assembly elections in Bihar in 2025, serious reservations were expressed about the advisability of undertaking such a comprehensive and intensive revision of the electoral roll in such haste. Apart from the inexplicably compressed timeline for completing the intensive revision of the electoral roll, serious questions were raised about the statutory backing for such an exercise. So the first question which the author of this article is raising, and the question is very very comprehensive, that whether the timeline which was adopted by the Election Commission of India was sufficient to conduct the exercise, because this exercise is conducted at a huge level. So whether it's possible to conduct the exercise, you know, which has such, you know, magnanimity, इतने शॉर्ट स्पैन में क्या उसको कर सकते हैं. और दूसरा क्वेश्चन ये था, whether the election commission of India is empowered to conduct the SIR or not. Now multiple constitutional provisions have been referred by the author, and we'll discuss each one of them. So article 325 of the constitution declares that there shall be one general electoral roll for every territorial constituency in the country, and that no person shall be ineligible for inclusion in such a roll solely on the grounds of religion, race, caste, sex, or any of them. So basically we know this article 15 of the Indian constitution prohibits discrimination on the basis of, on the grounds of race, religion, caste, sex, or place of birth. So article 325 also says this, that no person shall be ineligible because of the fact that he belongs from any specific religion, race, caste, sex, or any of them. This is the clear prerogative of article 325, that no person shall per se become ineligible for registration just because he or she belongs to a specific race, religion, caste, sex, or place of birth. And these are the same grounds which are also covered under article 15, that article 15 prohibits discrimination on these grounds. So these grounds cannot be a reason for removal of someone's name from the electoral roll. Then we have article 326. Now students, article 326 is also very important with the reference with the reference to special intensive revision. And what is article 326? So article 26 talks about the principle of universal adult suffrage. And what is the principle of universal adult suffrage? Article 326 says that the elections to the Lok Sabha and the Assembly shall be on the basis of adult suffrage, which means every citizen who is 18 years and above is entitled to be registered as a voter at any such election. So the minimum requirement as per Article 326 is that the concerned voter must have completed the age of 18. Now again, Article 327 empowers Parliament to make laws for dealing with all aspects of elections, including the preparation of electoral roll. So at the same time, after Article 325 and 326, Article 327 is important with the powers, or with the context of Parliament of India, because see, at the end of the day, the Parliament of India is the most powerful body because it has the power to make laws on the different subject matters. So Article 327 has given powers, has given this specific power to make legislation on the matters related to the preparation of electoral roll to the parliament. कि पार्लियामेंट कोई भी लॉ बना सकता है जब जो स्पेसिफिक लॉ रिलेटेड है किस चीज से, प्रिपरेशन ऑफ इलेक्टोरल रोल से. तो सिर्फ और सिर्फ इंडिया में इलेक्शन कमीशन ऑफ इंडिया एसआईआर कंडक्ट कर सकता है, और किसी भी इलेक्टोरल मैटर पे लॉ बनाने का जो एब्सोल्यूट राइट है दैट हैज बीन गिवन टू द इलेक्शन कमीशन ऑफ इंडिया अंडर आर्टिकल 327, to the Parliament of India under Article 327. Now, and also Section 21 of the representation of Section 21 of the representation of RPA Act, Representation of People's Act 1950, empowers the Election Commission of India for preparation and supervision of electoral roll. And also Article 324 is also important in this particular context. And what is the relevance of Article 324 here? So Article 324 empowers the Election Commission of India to conduct free and fair elections. And in order to conduct free and fair elections, you need to have a very, pious electoral role. You need to have a very, correct electoral role, free from all sort of discrepancies, right? So it empowers the Election Commission of India to, conduct free and fair elections, Article 324 as well. So if you read Article 324 and Section 21 of the Representation of Peoples Act 1950 together, you will understand that why Election Commission of India is empowered to conduct, to, prepare the electoral roll through a special intensive revision. Now, Section 21 has been discussed here. Section 21 Act of the Representation of People's Act deals with the preparation and revision of the electoral roll, Section 21, Clause 2, and so multiple provisions have been cited. Now, Rule 25 of the Registration of Electoral Rules says that the revision of the rolls under Section 21, Clause 2 of the Act before the general election or by-election can be summary or intensive, which clearly implies that such revision just before the general election can be only summary, considering the elaborate scheme of an intensive revision under the rules. So basically, I mean, this power is specifically there in Section 21 Clause 2 of the Representation of People's Act कि इलेक्शन कमीशन ऑफ इंडिया के पास में दो ऑप्शन अवेलेबल होते हैं बिफोर एवरी इलेक्शन. जनरल लोकसभा के जो जनरल इलेक्शंस होते हैं या किसी स्टेट लेजिस्लेटिव असेंबली के अगर इलेक्शन हो तो वहां पर दो तरीके की पावर होती है, डिफरेंट तरीके की पावर्स होती हैं इलेक्शन कमीशन ऑफ इंडिया के पास में. या तो वो समरी रिवीजन कर सकते हैं, या तो वो you don't, I mean, if you want to, you can remember the name of these award winners, and if you, I mean, my suggestion would be ki please yaad rakh lijiyega, there are 7 names only. So if you want to, if you have that kind of ultimate security, then you may remember the names. So the conjoint, now Section 21 Clause 2 provides power ki Election Commission of India special summary revision or intensive revision kuch bhi kar sakta hai. It purely depends upon the timing, or it also depends upon the schedule of the elections, right? क्योंकि बिहार में भी जो एसआईआर हुए थे, जो सबसे बड़ा क्वेश्चन था, जो हमेशा ऑपोजिशन या जितने भी ऑपोजिशन की पार्टीज हैं जिन्होंने पूछा है रूलिंग पार्टी से एंड और आल्सो टू द इलेक्शन कमीशन ऑफ इंडिया, दैट व्हाट वाज द नीड टू कंडक्ट एसआईआर इन स्टेट्स विच आर गोइंग टू हैव इलेक्शंस. पहले कहाँ पर हुआ? बिहार में एसआईआर हुआ, फिर बिहार में एसआईआर होने के बाद इलेक्शंस हुए, फिर केरला, असम, तमिलनाडु, हर जगह पर एसआईआर के बाद में क्या हुआ? इलेक्शंस हुए. और ऑपोजिशन का ये भी एक क्लेम है दैट भारतीय जनता पार्टी इज गेटिंग benefits of the special intensive revision, and that's why they're also making a claim that Election Commission of India is working as an agent of the ruling party. Now, so this bilateral agreement which we have signed, or free trade agreement which we have signed with Oman, has been implemented or has been enforced on 1st of June 2026. So let's talk about this comprehensive economic partnership agreement with Oman. So any idea about this particular topic that we are going to just cover? It was enforced on 1st of June. First relevant point कि enforcement हो चुका है इस agreement का. So one, and what is this and what is the name of this agreement? CAPA, comprehensive economic partnership agreement. Now it was enforced on it was enforced on 1st of June 2026. So this particular date is also very important. And the other reason why Oman is very important, because Trade with Oman is not dependent upon Strait of Hormuz like any other country in the Gulf region, right? And also the bilateral trade have increased significantly, right? From $10.61 billion to $11.18 billion in the financial year 2025-26, right? So earlier it was $10.61 billion bilateral trade in 2024-25, but it increased to 11.18 billion US dollars in the financial year 2025-26. So it actually tells you the kind of scope which this comprehensive economic partnership agreement might create for India. Now we have signed multiple free trade agreements. We signed a free trade agreement with European Union, which is known as the mother of all trade deals. Then we signed a free trade agreement with New Zealand. We have signed almost 22 to 23 these free trade agreements, and soon you can or soon you will witness the impact of this these free trade agreements as well. And in almost all the major free trade agreements, the main focus of Indian government is to protect the interest of the agriculture sector, right? Now moving Canada ke sath bhi the negotiations are going on, or because of the crisis in the Strait of Hormuz, it was not sure that whether this particular free trade agreement will be enforced on 1st of June or not. But you know uh, not giving much importance to the Strait of Hormuz, understanding or just getting an idea that how important Oman is for India. Strategically it is very important because it directly bypass the Strait of Hormuz, right? So it will create an alternative trade route for India as well. So that's why we have signed it, given we have enforced this particular agreement given the current context. Now, National Family Health Survey. Any idea about National Family Health Survey, NFHS? Anyone? National Family Health Survey. Now again every year this survey is released. तो अभी इसके बारे में एक brief discussion कर लेते हैं so that you have a fair idea about this. So this particular report or this particular survey is released by the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. India's latest National Family Health Survey seeks record gains in child nutrition, maternal care, institutional births, and women's internet use. But its primarily fact sheet is also thinner than the last round, with 108 indicators compared with 131 in NFHS 5. Key indicators such as anemia, mortality, sex ratio at birth, sanitation, and clean cooking fuel has been removed from the survey. The Union Health Ministry released the fact sheet of National Family Health Survey on May 29th, covering 2023 to 24. The survey recorded data from nearly 6.8 lakh households across every state and union territory except Manipur. So this is one important feature of this year's National Family Health Survey, that uh, it has data of 27 states and 8 UTs, and except the kind of situation which is prevailing in Manipur, it was not feasible for the Ministry of Health Affairs to collect the data from the state of Manipur. Primary or preliminary findings report clear gains on several measures, including mothers getting at least four antenatal checkups, up about 7 percentage points from NFHS 5, and increase in institutional birth and women's internet uses. It also points to decline in several metrics such as exclusive breastfeeding of infants under 6 months, down nearly 8 percentage points, and the use of modern contraception down to 52.7% from 56.4. So there are various kind of indicators, there are various kind of indicator which tells you the correct health infrastructure of our country. But one of the most important indicators which will tell you that how the entire approach towards the childbirth is changing in India. Now approximately 90.6% childbirths now takes place in health institutions. Right, so this particular stats is also very important, that how many percentage of the total childbirths took place in health institutions, or when a lot of childbirths are taking place in health institutions, you can actually reduce the both maternal mortality rate and infant mortality rate, because most of the time these health institutions have that kind of infrastructure where the rate of survivability increases, right, because they have more facilities, right. Now then, moving on to the next point related to this particular survey, and also the birth, total number of births attended by specialized health workers has also increased from 89.4% to 91.3%. So medical access is also increasing, right. So these are the points related to the national family health. Now there are various kind of statistics which are basically, you will compare these statistics from 2022 to 23 to see actual change ki substantial change kitna hua hai. Now the cases of anemia has dropped. What other changes were made? So in NFHS 6, how did survey results change between NFHS 5 and NFHS 6? NFHS 6 reported a drop in the number of women who have experienced spousal violence, down to 22.3% from 29.3%. So this is a good indicator that the spousal violence has decreased substantially from 29.3% a year back to 22.3% in 2024-25. Then the number of children aged 5 or below who are stunted declined to the drop from NFHS 4 to NFHS 5 was just under 3 percentage point, but NFHS 6 saw a drop of over 6 percentage point. Now, students, what is child stunting? Anyone who'd like to answer the question, what is child stunting? What is child stunting? So, child stunting means that when the average height of a child uh, is below, when the height of a child is below the average height of the children's below the age of 5 or below the age of 5, right. जो 5 साल या 5 साल तक के जो नीचे के बच्चे होते हैं उनका जो एवरेज हाइट है, अगर आपका एवरेज हाइट उससे कम है, then a child is considered as child stunt, that is considered as child stunting, right. So child stunting has also decreased substantially. Then moving on to the next point, now we are moving into the business section of today's newspaper. International section में हम आ गए. So Houthis claim missile attack declares total ban on Israeli ships in Red Sea. So problems for Israeli government is also increasing substantially, because they have invested close to 17% of their, they have already invested close to 17% of their GDP in this war. They have invested almost $137 billion in this conflict, which started post the attack of Hamas militants on a music festival on 7th of October 2023, killing more than 1250 individuals, and they also captured more than 250 individuals for negotiations. And finally, what happened that after almost 2 years, Hamas was completely disarmed, and some sort of, you can say Israel took their own revenge. Israel took its revenge, and Hamas is finally totally disarmed. Now, yesterday we had a very uh, unfortunate uh, earthquake, and the magnitude of this earthquake was 7.8 on Richter scale. It hit Philippines, and 35 individuals have lost their lives. So, given the size or given the magnitude of this earthquake, 7.8 magnitude, the quantum of damage it could have caused is huge. I mean, 35 people have lost their lives, but again, the magnitude was 7.8, right? And also, after this particular uh, earthquake hit Philippines, multiple warnings were issued in all the neighboring countries, tsunami se related. Now, yesterday, Mr. Xi Jinping, the Chinese president, is in North Korea, and he gave a very interesting statement that China is absolutely against the authoritarian regimes in the world, right? So basically, he was referring to the United States of America, that these unilateral tariffs which are being imposed by the United States of America. This tells you the picture of authoritarianism. Now moving on to the next point, H-1B visa. So this is now, defeat after defeat for the Trump administration. First, on 20th February 2026, the US Supreme Court declared the unilateral tariffs imposed by Trump administration as invalid. Then after that, International Court of Trade again declared those additional 10% tariffs imposed by the US administration as invalid. And finally, one of the most discussed policies of the Trump administration, where they made a specific law कि अगर कोई भी H1B वीज़ा, अगर कोई फॉरेन वर्कर, स्किल्ड वर्कर, अगर वो यूएस में H1B वीज़ा लेना चाहता है, तो दे हैव टू, और देयर एम्प्लॉयर्स हैव्स टू पे अ फी ऑफ 100,000 US dollars. Now, after this particular policy change was made by the Trump administration, this particular policy was challenged in the one of the courts, and now the district judge of Boston has declared uh, this imposition of $100,000 as invalid. It's an unlawful tax. Uh, and if you want to impose a new tax, we have discussed it multiple times that if we talk about United States of America and you want to impose a new tax, or you want to introduce a new tax, then you have to take the prior approval of the US Congress. But in the present context, while increasing the fees for the visa application, the Trump administration failed to take the prior approval of the US Congress, and citing the same reason, the US court has declared this particular policy as unconstitutional and invalid, because it lacked prior approval of the US Congress. Now, this policy of H1B visa was introduced in 1992. It was introduced in 1992, reduce the demand of STEM workers. And who are these STEM workers? Science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So basically, अगर आप देखें students, post 1990, industrial, not industrial, actually technical revolution took place in uh, United States of America, and technical or technological revolution played a very important role in the rapid growth of the US economy. You see Google, you see Microsoft, you see Amazon, right? You see Apple. Like Apple was established before 1990, but the major shift in the entire industry, Nvidia, took place after 1999. And when this particular STEM means science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, right? So when we talk about technological revolution, only these four fields will play a very important role. So that's why uh, a lot of people were in demand who are basically from these four streams. And to meet that particular demand, this particular policy was introduced in 1990. Now, under the annual H1B visa policy, a maximum of 65,000 H1B visas can be introduced in a year. A maximum of 65,000 visas can be, uh, approved annually, but there is an exception. There is a further allocation of 20,000. तो 65,000 तो is basically the general distribution of H1B visas. वो किसी भी skilled worker को मिल सकते हैं. But अगर जो ये additional 20,000 visas allocate किए जाते हैं, these are allocated to the person who are holding degree फ्रॉम सम रेप्यूटेड यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ द यूनाइटेड स्टेट्स ऑफ अमेरिका. मास्टर्स डिग्री अगर जिनके पास में होती है, उनको बेसिकली अलाउ करते हैं वो लोग टू अप्लाई अंडर दिस स्पेसिफिक एडिशनल कैटेगरी, राइट. अब नॉर्मली H1B वीजा इंडिया के लिए इतना बड़ा सेटबैक इसलिए भी था, एंड इट वाज आल्सो अ काइंड ऑफ अपॉर्चुनिटी फॉर इंडिया, बिकॉज इंडियंस आर द लार्जेस्ट होल्डर ऑफ H1B वीजा in United States of America. Or after this particular fee of 100,000 was levied by the Trump administration, it was anticipated that a lot of Indians will not now travel to United States of America. So eventually it would help in stopping the brain drain. Right, now this is about today's analysis. Now let's talk about today's quiz as well. So today we have students 10 questions that we would be covering in today's session. We'll start with question number 1. So, and these are the questions which are basically has been taken mostly from the news items related to January to June. Now we know this particular question, we have seen this particular question, and you must have read this particular topic. Now, which medical condition was Harish Rana diagnosed with the following? His fall in 2013, leading to India's first fully implemented court-approved passive euthanasia case. Right, so we know this in the month of March 2026, in the case of Harish Rana versus Union of India, the Honorable Supreme Court of India allowed first passive euthanasia in our country, and he was basically a 31-year-old person named Harish Rana who fell from the 3rd floor of his hostel, and after that he was in state of coma for last 13 years. So you have to tell me that which medical condition was Harish Rana suffering from? Amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, persistent vegetative state, diffuse axonal injury, or spinal cord atrophy? Anyone who would like to answer question number 1? It is very important because it was the first case where the Supreme Court of India allowed passive euthanasia. And so you must know the main disease. So the main disease was diffuse axonal injury. And what is diffuse axonal injury? So it is a condition related to brain. It is a condition related to brain where a severe head injury is caused, and it lead to, and this diffuse axonal injury led to a persistent vegetative state for Harish Rana, and finally the Supreme Court of India allowed passive euthanasia. So for question number 1, please remember the medical condition. The medical condition was diffuse axonal injury caused due to a fall from the 3rd floor, right? And it was basically for the first time also, students, please remember this, in Harish Rana versus Union of India, the Honorable Supreme Court of India implemented the guidelines which were delivered by the Honorable Supreme Court of India in Common Cause versus Union of India. And those guides were effectively implemented in the case of Harish Rana. And Supreme Court said that right to life under Article 21 includes right to die with dignity. So now right to die with dignity is an important facet or aspect of Article 21, which is right to life and personal liberty. Now moving on to question number 2, students. Now again a very important topic, Bharat Taxi launch. In the 2026 Bharat Taxi launch, what is the maximum share capital required for a driver to become a cooperative member? Question number 2. Option A rupees 500, option B rupees 5, option A rupees 100, option B rupees 500, option C rupees 1000, or option D rupees 2500. Which is the correct option for question number 2? How much minimum investment is required by the is required by a taxi driver to become the a part of this Bharat Taxi initiative, which was launched by Amit Shah? 100, 500,000, or 2500? And Bharat Taxi was registered as a cooperative society under the Indian Societies Registration Act of 1860. So anyone who would like to answer question number 2? So for question number 2, students, the correct answer is rupees 500. A driver is required to invest a capital of rupees 500 to become the part of this Bharat Tax initiative. Now we'll move to question number 3. According to the Global Terrorism Index 2026, which region accounted for over half of all global terrorism deaths in 2025? Middle East, South Asia, the Sahel, or Central America? Which is the correct option for question number 3? Middle East, South Asia, option B, the Sahel, or the Central America? Central America. And what is the Sahel region? What is the Sahel region, anyone? Now for question number 3, the correct answer is the Sahel region. तो Sahel region हम बोलते हैं Sub-Saharan region or Sub-Saharan countries, right? It is known as the Sahel region. And as per the Global Terrorism Index, students, this is another important question which I'd like to ask. Which country is considered as the biggest victim of terrorism in the world? Anyone who will give the correct answer will have my immense respect. Which country is considered as the biggest victim of terrorism in the world? As per the Global Terrorism Index Report 2025, which was presented in 2026, so Global Terrorism Index 2026 के हिसाब से, which country is the largest victim of terrorism in the world? The correct answer is Pakistan, right? Which constitutional article deals with the appointment of governor by the president through a warrant under his hand and seal? Now, this is also important because in the month of March 2026, there was a overhauling which took place related to the appointments of the governor. So you have to tell me which constitutional article deals with the appointment of the governor by the President of India, which constitutional article, Article 153, 154, 155, or 156? Question number 4, which is the correct answer, option for question number? What is the correct option for question number 4? So the governor of any particular state, is students appointed under Article 155 under the warrant, hand and seal of the President of India. So please remember this. Article 155 talks about the appointment of the governor of a particular state by the President of India. Now moving on to the next question, question number 5. What was the theme of the World Water Day 2026? Water and gender, valuing water, water for all, or accelerating? Now question number 5 is also, it's a easy question, but again, easy questions are equally important. अगर आप easy questions का आंसर नहीं करेंगे तो आप रेस में बहुत पीछे हो जाएंगे. So what is the correct answer for question number 5? What was the theme for the World Water Day 2026, and when do we celebrate this World Water Day? Anyone? हम celebrate कब करते हैं World Water Day? World Water Day. So theme for 2026 World Water Day was water and gender, and it is celebrated on 22nd of March every year. So this is the answer for question number 5. Now we'll move to question number 6. Change in the India-US trade deal of 2026. The effective tariff on Indian origin goods was reduced from approximately 50% to. Now question number 6 is also important because with reference to the highly anticipated India-US trade deal, आपको ये बताना जो 50% tariff Indian goods पर impose किए गए थे, 25% tariffs and 25% punitive tariff on the Indian goods. those tariffs were substantially reduced to what percentage? 18%, 15%, 10%, or 20%? Yeah, absolutely correct. 22nd March is absolutely correct. So इंडिया पे जो टैरिफ इम्पोज किए गए थे उनको रिड्यूस करके जब यूएस इंडिया ट्रेड डील का नेगोशिएशन चल रहा था तो कितना कर दिया गया था? 18%, 15%, 10%, और 20%? For question number 6, the correct option is option A. It was reduced to 18%. Now we'll move to the next question. Question number 7. Which committee's report preceded the introduction of the Gujarat Uniform Civil Code Bill 2026? Justice B.N. Krishna Committee, Ranjana Prakash Desai Committee, Justice R.M. Lodha Committee, or Justice K. Kasturi Rangan Committee? Now, question number 7 is also important given the fact that recently Gujarat became the second state in India post independence after Uttarakhand to adopt Uniform Civil Code. And recently, uh, Assam became the third state in India and first state in northeastern India to pass a bill related to the Uniform Civil Code. And soon they will also implement the Uniform Civil Code in Assam. So you have to tell me, after the recommendations of the which of the following committees Gujarat Uniform Civil Code Bill 2026 was presented in the or was tabled in the Gujarat State Legislative Assembly? Justice B.N. Krishna Sri Krishna Committee, Justice Ranjana Prakash Desai Committee, Justice R.M. Lodha Committee, or K. Kasturi Rangan Committee? For question number 7, students, the correct option is option B. Ranjana Prakash Desai Committee. She is the chairperson of the Uttarakhand Uniform Civil Code. She is also the chairperson of Gujarat Uniform Civil Code, and she is also the chairperson of Assam Uniform Civil Code Bill 2026. Now, which Navik satellite lost its onboard atomic clock on 13th of March 2026? Again, question number 8 is slightly a difficult one. Which Navik satellite? So Navik is basically a constellation of satellites. So which Navik satellite lost its onboard atomic clock on 13th of March 2026? First one is IRNS 1A, IRNSS 1D, IRNSS 1F, or IRNSS 1G? It's very, this question might be one of the most relevant questions for AILET. जिस तरीके के AILET कभी कभार बहुत absurd questions पूछ देता है जिस वजह से वो बच्चों को बहुत difficult लगते हैं. So which is the correct option for question number 8? Which NAVIC satellite lost its onboard atomic clock? So for question number 8, students, the correct option is option C, IRNSS 1F. Right. So remember this 1F. IRNSS 1F is the name of that satellite which India launched, which जिस पर का जो एटॉमिक क्लॉक था, ऑनबोर्ड एटॉमिक क्लॉक होता है, वो बेसिकली टाइम के लिए होता है. वो एटॉमिक क्लॉक कहीं स्पेस में ही लॉस्ट हो गया. एंड IRNSS स्टैंड्स फॉर इंडिया रीजनल नेविगेशन सैटेलाइट सिस्टम. इंडिया रीजनल नेविगेशन सैटेलाइट system 1F. Right. So this is the correct option for question number 8. Now we'll move to question number 10. Who was named the player of the tournament in the ICC Men's T20 World Cup 2026? Jasprit Bumrah, Surya Kumar Yadav, Sanju Samson, or Abhishek Sharma? Question number 9. What is the correct option for question number 9? Who was named the player of the tournament in the ICC Men's T20 World Cup 2026, which concluded in the month of March 2026? Anyone who would like to answer the question? Question number 9. So question number 9 is basically the answer for question number 9 is Sanju Samson was declared as the player of the tournament for T20 World Cup 2026. And who was declared as the man of the match? Anyone? Who was man of the match? Now, the 60th Jananpith Award for the year 2025 was awarded to R. Varai Muthu for which language? Now, you have 4 options. Now, this is extremely important question. The 60th Jananpith Award was awarded to R. Varai Muthu for which language? Malayalam, Tamil, Kannada, or Telugu? Anyone who would like to answer the question? What is the correct option for question number 10? And this award is very important because this award is also known as Nobel Prize of Indian Literature, right? So that is also one of the important reason why Jananpith Award is important. for Indian literature. Now, this award was presented to R. Varai Muthu, and which was the language, and he is basically the third author from this particular language to get this award. So the award was presented in Tamil language, and he is only the third person, R. Varai Muthu, third person to get the award in Tamil language. And I've already told you why this particular award is considered so important, right? Because it is known as the Nobel Prize of Indian Literature, and it is India's highest literary honor, right? Jananpith Award. Right, now moving on to the next point. This award was instituted in 1961. This award was instituted in 1961, and it was for the first time it was presented in 1965. First award given. And who was the first recipient of Jananpith Award, students? G. Sankara Group. G. Sankara Group was the first person to get this award, and he got this award in Malayalam. So students, this is all about today's analysis. I hope you must have liked it. And if you have any suggestions, then you may drop your suggestions in the comment section. And I guess 6 students have left the classroom. So, I mean, let's keep on doing this more, effectively. We have solved till this date. We have solved more than 132. No, I guess one more than 210 questions in the daily sessions, these daily the Hindu analysis session. And these are the 10 important questions for your examination, and these were from the month of January 2026 to April 2026. Now we'll see you tomorrow at the same time at 7:45 in the morning, and please keep on revising things, because on Saturday we'll have another important quiz on the topics which we will discuss between 8th of June to 13th of June. मंडे से लेकर के सैटरडे के बीच का जो भी न्यूज़पेपर होगा उस पर we'll have a quiz on Saturday. So please be prepared for that. And we also had a quiz on Saturday, last Saturday, which was basically 6, where we solved more than where we solved not more than actually 30 questions. So this is all about today's analysis. Guys, we'll see you tomorrow morning. Till then, just take a good care of yourself. Bye bye and